Hello, welcome to my channel. My name is Michael, and I'm exploring all the different ways that stationery can bring me joy. As we come to the end of the year, I thought it would be really fun to reflect on different items that have brought me a lot of joy this year in my first year in the stationery hobby. So, pull up a chair, grab a coffee or a tea, and I'd love to explore my top 25 asterisk-ish pieces of stationery that I used in 2025. This is in no way an exhaustive list of all the things that I've enjoyed using, but the way that I curated this list was to think about what are the items that I use almost every day, if not every day. And so I sat down and I started writing what are the things that I reach for or that I use daily in my daily journal, in my reading journal, in my, poetry notebook, and all of the different areas that I write or journal or use in my planners for work. What are the items that I'm just like constantly picking up? And so I have created this list, and I also want to point out that this is not in any particular order. It's just as they came to me. I will be putting some chapters in the description so you can, if you want spoilers, see ahead all the different items and jump to whichever one you think would be most interesting for you to hear about. When possible, I'll include links in the description for those items, but some of these things I honestly can't remember where I got them. So yeah, let's get started right away and jump into number one. The first item that I want to highlight is this pad of Kraft paper sticky notes. I purchased this from Daiso early on in the year, and this Kraft pad of sticky notes was like this thick. And I use this every single day. I use it to jot down notes. Sometimes I tear it and use it as decoration. I use it to cover up things when I'm sharing on YouTube and I don't want personal details or to be kind of put out there. I'll use it as the way to censor text. This pad is almost done, and I did not think that I would be, blasting through it so much, but it is definitely such a go-to item for me. And if you like the look of craft paper and you have access to a Daiso, I would run, not walk, to go pick one of these up because it has been really amazing. They stick pretty well, but they're not super sticky, which is also great because if you're using it in your planner to just like leave a note and then you want to remove it, it's not going to tear the paper. But using some glue or a glue runner and it will stay down if you want to use it as deco or as some kind of tip-in or, ancillary part of your spread. The next thing I want to highlight is a pen, and that is the EnerGel Clena. This is my go-to gel pen for writing in my Hobonichis, in my Stalogy, and in any of my notebooks. I love this pen. I use it in the 0.5 millimeter size. I do have the 0.4, and I use it sometimes when I really want to get tiny, neat writing in somewhere, but 0.5 is the sweet spot for me. I have tried a lot of gel pens. When I first started getting into this and I got my Hobonichi Weeks, I knew I wanted to find the pen that wrote well for me, and I bought a sample of many different types of gel pens. I'm very lucky to live in New York and to be able to go to one of the stationery stores we have here where they have the wall of pens. But the EnerGel Clena is the best pen that I have found for its writing style. I just love the way that it writes, and it is an amazing, amazing gel pen. So much so that I now own 6 of the bodies and have refill packs for it, and I've gone through quite a few of those. Pro tip for refilling or re-inking this pen: pull this little comfort grip off, and it allows you to open up this canister a lot easier. Originally, I was trying to twist with this on, and it was not a pleasant experience. So I got very frustrated, and then I realized that I just needed to remove this rubber. Maybe that's obvious to other people, but since I struggled, I figured there's somebody out there who's struggling as well. But for gel pens, I love the EnerGel Clena. Another thing that I reach for daily in my journals is my marker set, the Tombow Markers. Such lovely range of colors. You have the brush tip, and then you also have the fine tip. I find that the fine tip is great for making dots, for doing bubble letters or other text, and then the brush tip for any brush lettering you would like to do, or just full-on coloring in something. I'm a little bit of a collector energy to me. That's definitely like my style, and so the fact that there's so many of them, it also feels lovely to constantly be on a little quest to find another color to add to the collection slowly over time, and I really enjoy that. The next item that I reach for all the time, number 4, is a fountain pen, and it is the Pilot Prera fountain pen. I have mine in a fine nib, and it is such a smooth writer. I love the kind of magnetic, almost pneumatic tube closure. I don't know if this audio is going to capture it well, but there's a satisfying click, but it's like not a snap. It's like a magnetic attraction when you close the pen, and I've never had any issues with the ink not flowing well out of this pen. It's small, it's compact, it feels really comfortable in my hand, and it posts really well, and it's just really, really great. I use this a lot in my reading journal, and just anytime I want to pop out to do some journaling where I'm taking minimal supplies, this is the pen that I usually grab. One or two that I usually grab to throw in my bag. And then bonus item, not officially one of the 25, but is this Galen leather pen holder, and it's just a single pen holder. It pops in, really easy to throw in your bag. Speaking of pens that I use on the daily, I also have my Kaweko Student, and I believe this is the 1970s or 1960s. I will correct myself. Colorway. I saw this pen very early on when I was getting into fountain pens in a display case, and I just loved the way that it looked. And so when I wanted to level up to something other than a super beginner pen, I purchased this pen. This is also in a fine nib. It writes so well. I love, again, the aesthetics of it, and like the Pilot Prera, if I'm just going to be tossing a pen into my bag, this one is one that I do all the time. I also use this in my daily journal quite often. And a bonus item for this, not one of the 25, but I'm sneaking it in, is the ink that I have this paired with. I have this with this Ink Institute and Yoseka collab. It's called Origin number 1. It is a lovely green color, and the pen is green, so I'm doing a bit of a matchy-matchy style here with the ink to the pen. But the combination of this ink and this pen is amazing, and I love the dark green that it writes with, and I use it constantly in my journal to the point that once I started realizing I was going to do seasonal colors, that was one of the deciding factors, is because I was just writing with this so much, and I wanted to make sure that I was also expanding myself into my other inks in the collection. But love this pen, reach for it all the time. The last fountain pen I want to highlight is my more higher end pen, and that's my Esterbrook Estie. By no means the most high end, but of the collection that I have. This was a very early on purchase for me that ended up working out really lovely. I have mentioned before that Helen and the Coffee Monster Co. was kind of like a gateway social media post that got me into stationery. And so when she had this pen collab, and I knew I wanted to have an Esterbrook in my collection just to try them out. And so I purchased her pen. It's one of the first video, I think it is the first video I posted to YouTube, was unboxing this. I have this in an extra fine, I believe. Yeah. And it writes so amazingly. The ink flows really well, especially for being an extra fine. It's not very scratchy. I have this inked with her Robert Oster collab, the Coffee Monster Co. and Robert Oster's Coffee Monster. And I'm just excited to have an Esterbrook pen in my collection, and I really enjoy this. And so when I'm reaching for a pen that isn't the other two that are my daily go-tos, this one comes out the most as well. The next item on my list are these zipper pouches. I purchased these at Daiso as well, and I love these pouches. They come in many different sizes. They just have a simple zipper closure at the top, but these are so amazing for organizing the amount of paper goods that you will have as someone who's into stationery. This one currently holds some Happy Mail and things that I need to either put away in my Happy Mail album or into one of my journals as ephemera. And it just is such an easy, quick way to throw things together. Everything is nice and flat, nothing gets crinkled, and you can place this between some books on a shelf. You can throw it in a drawer. And I love them so much. I have about maybe 4 of these in varying sizes, or 5. I have one, if you've seen other videos on my channel, that's just full of ephemera. It's like packed to the brims. It's a little bit larger than this one, but any, crumpled paper, wrapper, interesting image, magazine, sheet, book page that someone sent me, anything that is like ephemera, I shove in there and zip it up, and it keeps it nice and contained, and I don't have this spilling box of papers, and it's just really, really lovely. So love these. If you're looking for an organization system, this is a great option. My next stationery item that has brought me a lot of joy this year, I believe we're at number 8, is these VersaMagic Dewdrop chalk-based ink pads. Working in a Hobonichi is a lovely experience. The crinkle of the paper, the slight ghosting of the ink, the smoothness of the writing, the way that the fountain pen inks, show up when the paper works properly. But any oil-based ink pads just bleed through horrifically. But this VersaMagic Dewdrop chalk-based ink does not. And it's quite lovely. I have these 4 different colors. Definitely want to try and see if I can get a black as well. And I love them because, 1, they don't bleed through, but 2, the design of this is quite ingenious, because when you pop off the lid, this on the back is hollow, the area, so you can stick your pointer finger in there, and then when you're inking up something, you have this tip, because it does the dewdrop, that you can get very fine into a specific area. You also have a very large area if you just want to, dab the general area of the stamp, but this little tip does really allow to get you into an area of the stamp that perhaps did not meet contact with the stamp pad, and I really, really love that ingenious design. And the little legs allow you to either put it on the table like this or stand it up like this so that it's more out of the way. And I just think it's so genius the way that it has been put together. Obviously, a lot of thought went into it. And I picked this set up, I believe, at East Village Postal Service in the city, but I know a lot of stationery stores have this as well as online retailers like Jet Pens, etc. The next item on my list that has brought me joy every day this year is this lovely pen tray. This is for a Hightide product. I bought this at Yoseka, and to say I use this every day is an understatement, because it is where I put my pens when I am not using them, my, ones I reach for quite often. I lay them on here, and then it also allows for a little bit of space for, a washi tape or a stamp or something to go here as well. And it sits underneath my computer's monitor, and it allows me to just really quickly grab the things that I'm using a lot. And that way I don't have to store these fountain pens in the big storage case and unzip and take them out when I want to use them. They're just here ready to be grabbed. I love this blue marbled colorway. I think it's really beautiful. And I know that they have other products that perhaps maybe I'll add to my collection as time goes on, but this simple tray has brought me a lot of joy this year. I talked about the Versamagic Dewdrop ink pads. How could I not, for number 10, talk about the stamp that I've used most often this year? And this stamp is the Yoseka Stationery and Authn Chen collaboration. It is the Quick Brown Fox, the Lazy Brown Dog. No, the Quick Brown Fox jumps over the lazy dog. Here's the lazy dog. He's jumping over, but there's also the ink bottle here. And so using my Versamagic stamp, I'll stamp this in a notebook, and then we'll put the ink sample in the ink bottle to display it. I love that in my stationery journal, anytime I acquire a new ink, I can use this to quickly have a way to display it that has some whimsy and brings me a lot of joy. And so I love this stamp, use it all the time. I have a small collection of stamps, but honestly, this is the one that I have used the most. Now we're going to get into PET tape and washi. And here's where I'm going to cheat a little bit. And there's a bonus item. This is a storage tray from the Container Store. It is a part of a modular storage system, and I don't know what the intent of this piece is, if it's supposed to be in a drawer or for spice, Lord knows. But I saw it and I knew that it was the perfect size to store some washi, and so this lives on my desktop with number 11, my favorite PET tape from this year, and that is this tape. And honestly, I cannot remember the name of the company that makes this tape, but it's A to Z, and it is a bunch of birds and pieces of text. And you can see that ripped paper aesthetic that I pretty much love is part of this PET tape. So I have used this a lot in my spreads this year. It's a wonderful tape. If I can remember who created it, I will list it here. But definitely the PET tape that I reach for the most, which is why it is on my desktop in this wooden tray with my number 12 item, which is washi tape. And if I had to be honest about the washi tape I probably have used the most, it would be this brown Muji washi tape, this Kraft paper style washi tape. It was a much thicker roll, and it has gotten down because I use this as accent all the time. I will layer this with another piece of washi to create some visual interest. However, if I wanted to cheat, which I am, all of the washi that is in this bin are the ones that I have reached for the most this year. Perhaps with the exception of this one. This is like a book washi. But I just got this. I have used it a little bit. I could see myself using it quite a bit. But it's here because I recently received it. But the other washi in this are ones that I reach for all the time. They always just are an easy one to grab when I want to make a spread and I don't want to really think about a specific themed washi or color scheme. If I'm just like, hey, I want to throw something down really quickly, I reach for these quite a bit. And so, again, my number 12 is, if I'm being very, very honest, this brown Muji washi tape. But washi tape in general, and here are my most used. And they come from a variety of different places, all the way from Muji as well to I have things I bought at Michael's, MT tape. Yeah, just all different brands of washi are kind of represented here. It wouldn't be a video about the stationery that's brought me joy without talking about sticker books. I have many sticker books that are amazing, but if, again, I'm being honest, the one that I reach for the most would be this Pipsticks So Many Feelings stickers. This is filled with stickers that just kind of have little feelings or faces on different objects, and I reach for this one a lot because I will, in the top margin of my journal, just add like a current mood or a way to kind of just like capture the quick feeling of the spread. And this book is a really, really easy way to do that. And so, whether it be a hand symbol or one of these little coffee mugs that have a saying on them, it has been these birds I have used quite a few of. A really wonderful way to kind of put out the emotion that I want to in the spread in my personal day-to-day journal without having to really dig through other sticker books to find that exact perfect thing. There's so many feelings just kind of laid out here, and because they are so small, it doesn't take up a ton of space in a spread to use one of the stickers from this book. Next up is something I use quite often, and that is my Hocoro Dip Pen. I have it saved here in this art case from Blick that I purchased, but if you don't know what a Hocoro Dip Pen is, it is just this pen body, and then there are this myriad of nibs that you can buy to dip in ink to write with. And I have the fine, I have the extra fine nib, the Fude, some bold ones, and the brush tip as well. And you just pop it in and dip it in the ink and write away. And if you have been watching the Diamine ink vent videos, you can see that I use this medium nib one all the time. And this case is really great for organizing it. And I just snap it shut and keep it in my desk drawer, and it is really, really helpful to do all of the fun, writing and just like interesting things I like to do with ink, swatching, etc., without having to ink up a pen, and they clean very easily. And so it is something that has brought me joy this year. Another thing that has brought me a lot of joy that I've featured on this channel, so I won't talk too much about it because I set up this item in another video, but that is my Delfonics bag. I believe this is the medium size. I love to go to the coffee shop, to stationery meetups, and this is the most lovely tool to do that with. It has slots for your fountain pens, other, items, bigger pockets back here. You have pockets here in the back, Velcro pocket, and an interior pocket that has lots of space for smaller pockets inside. Here are my travel scissors bonus item. And it is so useful. It fits so many things. My traveler's notebooks fit in here comfortably. A6 notebooks fit in here comfortably. It is a Lovely, lovely bag to bring all of your washi samples, ephemera, your journal, your pens, a pair of scissors, some markers, a glue stick. Everything can fit in here, and then I can throw it in my backpack or a tote bag, and it's all contained into one area. Love, love, love this bag. My friend bought this for me for my birthday. Just so thankful, and it has been so amazing to take out to places. I just went to an event at Yoseka with King Jim where they showed off some of their new products and you got to journal, and I sat down and the woman who sat down next to me literally had the exact same bag in a different color. We took a photo with it. I can insert it here. And, you know, it is a favorite of the stationery community for a reason. It's just so useful. Another item that has brought me a lot of joy in the world of fountain pen inks is this glass muddler that I purchased for ink swatching. I went on a little journey earlier in my fountain pen, hobby to figure out how to best swatch inks. And I had seen Micah from Cat Collage Club use a muddler like this, and she linked the Etsy shop. She bought it. I will do the same, and I purchased one, and it is such a lovely tool for swatching ink. You can put a drop of ink on the page and then use this rounded edge to kind of swirl it about. You can also dip the pointed edge in the ink bottle to get that drop. And it just glides on the ink because it's glass. And I love the color. I just love how beautiful it looks as a tool just on its own. It sits in a little cup next to some of my ink materials and just shines in the light. And I really love this muddler. And so I thought it needed to have its own spot here on this list. Something else that I use every day are these UniPin fine line markers. They are water and fade proof. It's a pigment ink, and they come in varying millimeter sizes. This is the 0.3. And I use this all the time for the titles in my planners and journals. When I am using bubble letters or doing some kind of font type, I will use these because they go over the pencil very well. I always like to use a pencil to kind of lay out what I'm trying to do. And then I can write over it in this UniPin and erase the pencil. The pencil goes away. The UniPin stays there nice and fresh and black. And I use these all the time. And bonus item, I guess, would be this drawer from the Muji. It's like a tower of, 6 little drawers is where I put them and lots of my pens. So bonus item. But these UniPin fine line pens are my go-to for drawing in my planner. Next, in my stationery journey, a thing that I use all the time is this jelly plastic sticker organizer. It pops open. It has little, plastic sheets where you can slide your sticker sheets in back to back. I love having stickers to use in my journals and in some of my planners, but organizing them can get a little hectic. You have this thick stack of sheets, and when I saw this on, I believe I did get this on Amazon, it seemed like a perfect thing to do to organize all of the sticker sheets that I have. I love the snap enclosure. I think that the sparkliness of it is very 90s, and it kind of brings me back to being in elementary school, although I did not have anything this sparkly, but the girls in my class sure did. But haha, nuts to the world, because now I get to have it. It is a great way to organize it. When a sheet starts to get really low on stickers, I will then transfer this to like sticker release paper and, replace it with another sticker sheet. But it is an easy, quick way to see all of the sticker sheets in my collection. And it is a great little binder. Along the same vein, another organizer that I really, really love is this Muji Organizer. It has an elastic band to hold it closed. And it's not quite an accordion system, but it is kind of these flaps of pouches that have a zipper enclosure, and you can keep all of your items organized in here. And so it has been really helpful for sticker sheets as well as PET strips and other things like these notepads that I get from the Sticky Club. Can be organized in a nice little way, and then you just close the lid and put this around it. I really love this organizer, and it was very affordable. And again, it kind of helps to collect all those smaller bits and bobs of stationery in a really nice central location where it's not, you know, sloshing around in a drawer in kind of like one of those rectangular organizers where you just kind of stack things in it. This allows it to be a little more organized and then lay a little more flat, which goes into a drawer really easily. I would be remiss if I didn't have any Coffee Monster Co. item on my list because, you know, Helen was such an inspiration into getting into Hobonichi. And so another organizer that I love is my Coffee Monster Co. sticker binder for the Coffee Monster Co. stickers that I have. And, you know, this is a product from her shop. And, you know, I purchased it, and then all it does is have some dividers and then little sticker sheets that are perfectly sized for her sticker sheet sets. So these are the 2026 large doodles for her collection for next year, and I just have them organized here. You can see I've already used them in some of my spreads in my Hobonichi cousin, and so I have them here. And so the stickers that I get from her shop get organized in here, and that way they are all in one place. I'm thinking about adding some labels so that I know exactly what's in each section to make it a little bit easier to find what I want. But the dividers for this binder also came from her store. It's kind of a little system she sells, and it's very sweet. I like this woodsy theme. And I reach for this every day because I inevitably put some kind of Helen sticker in a spread or in my planner, and so I have it organized here. I think we're at number 22, and something that I reach for every day that brings me joy are these Maru Dot Markers. This one is the shrimp pink colorway. I love these dot markers because they allow me to create perfect little circles, and in my Hobonichi weeks, I use these every day. I use them as a way to mark off the to-do list items. The dot perfectly fits in a square on the Hobonichi Weeks grid, and I also use it to create the dots for the days of the week in my habit tracker. I have a collection of colors, and I use this every day. Love these markers. Another daily use item that brings me joy is this wiper cream tape. I use this because my Hobonichi Weeks is cream paper, and I can white out in my Hobonichi Weeks with this. In fact, it stays in here in the stationery pouch of my Trogan cover because it is always at the ready to make any corrections for what is most likely a smudge of ink that I have created because I am terrible at not smudging. I just will smudge ink if there's an opportunity for it to happen. I love how compact it is. I love that it has a little security door so it's not being used when, you know, it's rolling around in your pencil case. Tool I use every day. Amazing. Oh, they also comes in different millimeter widths. This one is the 2.5 millimeter, but they have different widths that you can buy depending on what notebook you're using. Another thing that I use every day is this Gloo, Gloo, Gloo Stick. If you've watched any of my videos, you have seen one of these puppies come out at some point. I love that it has a very round base so it can stand up on your table while you are using it. It pops off. The square shape is really amazing because you can get to all the corners of the paper right up to the edge. Because it's also square and flat on the bottom, it stands up. You can run glue over it. You can move the glue stick. It's just a great glue stick. Things stick down really well. It smells lovely. I love the purplish blue, and then it dries clear, so you can see where the glue is going. Everything about this is just perfection for me. Love the glue stick. Where would I be without it? I don't even want to know. The next thing, and these are a more recent addition, but it's because I was on a quest to find them, are the Grabie acrylic markers in the extra fine tip. I love this acrylic marker. I have tried many different acrylic markers to use in my journals, and this is the first one that writes really well, puts out a very thick line where it's very clear over a darker color. You know, in my planners, sometimes I will use a dark Tombow like this, for example, to create the background, and I want to write over it. And this is the first acrylic marker where when I write over it, the writing is very obviously stands out. I don't have to go over it many, many times. I bought this in a pack that comes with white, but also gold and silver. And so I've had a lot of fun in my ink vent calendar exploration this year using these. They are a great acrylic marker. And even though I did not have it for, I would say, the majority of the year, the amount that I've used it in the couple of months that I've had it make it one of my top 25 for 2025. And last but not least, I have another marker of sorts, and that is the Pentel Touch brush pens. These were actually is a set I have that was gifted to me by a coworker who had gone to Japan, and she brought me back a set. She's like, I know you love writing. I saw this and thought of you. It was so kind of her. I use these all the time. I use these in every spread. I use these so much that even before stationery was my hobby, you know, it was purchased, you know, before I started this journey last December. I had them on my desk at work, and would use them for cards and things. And then I used them to make the seating chart cards at my wedding. And then when I fell into stationery and realized, you know, that this is something that a lot of people use in their journals, and I brought the pack home, I now use this in my spreads all the time. These markers are great. The brush tip is, you know, a very soft brush tip, but also very fine, so you can get a very fine line to a very thick line. Some of them are glittery and some are just solid colors. I can't speak highly of them enough. They are a little more fine than the Tombows, and that's why in a smaller journal like my A6, they work really, really well. I just can't say anything more about how much these are a lovely marker. That brings us to the end of this video. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope that this list has been fun for you to go through. And as I mentioned earlier, while this is not an exhaustive list of all of the things that I love about stationery, these are the 25-ish items that I use daily. I'd love to know if you have any of these items and you use them as well, and if you love them as much as I do. If not, I'd love to know what items you have that are your daily go-tos, your stationery must-haves that have brought you a lot of joy this last year in 2025. I'm so excited to continue to use these items in 2026 and to learn new ways and how to use them and new ways that they can bring me joy in my journaling and planning practice, as well as to explore new items that I will get to, you know, purchase or get gifted or just get to try out in the different stores I go to or events I go to see how they can add to my practice of journaling and my planning in the new year. Again, thank you so much for being here. I hope that you have a great rest of your day, whether that's just a few more minutes before you decide to go to bed, or it's very early in the morning and you have a whole day ahead of you. However much time you have, I hope it's wonderful. And until next time, I also hope you keep exploring all of the possibilities that a blank page can bring you. Goodbye.